Hello, Facebook. How is everyone doing? I'm so excited for today's guest expert. We have Allison Woodley, and we're going to talk about building your confidence from the inside out. And I'm so excited to dive in. If you don't know Allison, she's a beautiful soul. She's a health and happiness mentor, and I'm so excited to have her here. Her mission is to help busy women heal their relationship with their bodies, gain their natural energy, and create a beautiful life that they love. And we have so much in common, and it makes this topic something I'm so excited to dive in with her. She empowers women to create breakthroughs by stepping into their power by using her unique unicorn method. And so I'm going to invite her on here to join.
Hey, hello.
Hi, Allison. I'm so excited to dive in this topic. Before you give an introduction, I wanted to kind of address this topic because I think one of the reasons why you and I, we talk about confidence so much is because of how much it played in our childhood, right? So I just want, and just to preface, I know that body confidence kind of affects everyone very differently. So of course, this is our own personal experience and how it affected our journey. But we understand that, of course, things, everybody's different, everybody's experiences does change. But just, I hope that you're able to kind of take, just our experience, our journey, and any tips and tricks with you. And for all of you who doesn't know me already, I'm the founder of this beautiful Facebook group, Strong, Confident, Healthy Living. My name is 𝘏𝘢𝘱𝘱𝘪𝘯𝘀. I am a healthy lifestyle expert, the founder of Self-Care Journey Coaching. And I would love for Allison to also give the audience here a quick introduction as well in terms of who you are, who you help, and a little bit about your journey here.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on here. I love the community that you've created here on Facebook. There's just so much positivity, so much love, and yeah, I love it. I admire it so much. And I love that we're having this conversation today because I think too, as experts in our field, we have a lot in common and a lot of differences, but I think a lot of our approaches about self-care and self-love overlap in a lot of ways, which I think is really cool because we didn't know each other up until a while ago, and yet we have so many similarities. So I love that how sharing our journeys and sharing those experiences will help so many others in their journeys because, we all have different lives and different paths, but there's still so much we can learn and share just from hearing each other's stories and journeys.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm so excited. So how has, body confidence kind of affected you throughout your journey, and how did it kind of landed you where you are right now in terms of helping the women that you do? Because I know the confidence plays a huge part in also, the women in both of our businesses. So how did that kind of play out for you?
That's a great question. So right now I am a health and happiness coach, but my background in the health and fitness industry goes back like a little ways. So when I was in university and I was studying advertising, I was just in a place where maybe a lot of people, find themselves in that place during that time where you're really challenged and confronted with like who you are and feeling comfortable and confident in your skin. And sometimes you fake it till you make it. And then sometimes, and for some of us and for me, it was a lot of really like ups and downs and highs and lows. And I struggled a lot with my confidence, a lot with body image and self-esteem and respect. And I was in a place where I just felt like no matter what diet I did, no matter what exercise program I did, I would find myself then in a place where I was overeating or binge eating and then trying to compensate with exercise. So I was just like up and down, feeling like nothing was working and feeling like I was never good enough, never, going to be thin enough, never going to be pretty enough, more beautiful enough. And so I just felt such a low place. So that was where I had no confidence, no body confidence, no body love at all. And that's what sparked me and spiraled me into my journey of discovery. And that started with health and fitness. I didn't know at the time that I needed confidence or body love or self-love. I had no idea what those words or terms even were. They didn't cross my mind. I just wanted to be thin and feel good. And so it was fitness and learning to lift weights, learning how to completely change my diet, to eat food, to fuel my body, to fuel how I nourished myself. That over time, slowly, is what helped me build up my confidence, learning how to nourish myself, how to take care of myself. And that's really where that confidence started to grow over time. And that was really the beginning of my journey, and what in a short sense has led me to where I am today.
That's amazing. So, and I'm sure a lot of women can kind of resonate with what you just said. Like, I know I've played that, like everything you just said, like that similar story in my childhood as well. And which is why I was so drawn to you in the very beginning as well, when we first met each other, because our stories were so closely aligned, where we kind of had a challenge of, our bodies kind of changing throughout time, right? As we age, our teenage years was probably like, a little bit rocky as our body changes, and then going through all these different things that you hear in the media or the magazines back in the day about what you're supposed to look like. So you're striving for this like magazine cover perfection, so to speak, of what the ideal healthy body was, and then having that feeling like, wait a minute, I don't look like that. So, what do I got to do to get there? And then not really understanding that, how exactly what you just said, self-love, how you feel about yourself, building the feeling and the emotions versus just focusing on the outside appearance. To me, I think that is a big myth buster when it comes to feeling that body confidence. Is it's not just how you look on the outside, it's way beyond the physical, but also how you feel on the inside. So what would you say would be your biggest myth buster when it comes to confidence and body confidence?
I love that question, the myth buster. I think that's such a good way to put it, because it's so true, and there's such a deep insight there. I think exactly what you touched on with the, it not being about the external, it being about the internal things. That I think is the biggest myth buster, is that when we have all these ideas that are put into our mind from different things, from our childhood, from things our parents say, from the media, from magazines, of this ideal, what we think we should look like, then we go outside of ourselves to try to find the right diet, to try to see what, that girl over there is doing, or that magazine tells us to do this diet or those workouts, or, this and that. And we try to do all those external things to change how our body looks, and hoping that when we get to the end goal of the weight loss, or, whatever kind of program it is, maybe it's building muscle for someone who feels like maybe they're too thin to be the ideal, so it's not an overweight thing. So whatever it is, trying to get to that outside external factor that makes us feel better. We think, when I get to that goal, then I'll feel, happy and healthy, and then I'll have the confidence. But all of those external things and just following what other people are telling us to do never actually get us to that goal. I'm sure there's lots of people on here who have had that experience of doing a certain program and getting to a goal and then not feeling satisfied, or then reversing back to their old ways and not maintaining some of the results. And quite often that's because we've just tried to lay over top external factors over external factors, rather than doing the deep inner work, rather than focusing on the self-love, the transforming of the things we think, the way we feel about ourselves, rewriting the stories of our past, the stories of I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough, or I, am not a healthy person, or I'm not a fit person, or I'm not athletic. All of those stories that we create growing up, it becomes our identity. But our identity, if that's what we believe. So I think that's the biggest mythbuster, is getting clear on what is external, what's internal, and how do we get into the internal.
I love that. And I love how you mentioned the identity part. I think that it's so deep. It's become so deeply rooted when you have believed something for so long that it becomes part of your identity that you can't shake off. And I think that so many contributing factors play into that. And it starts when you're young and you don't even realize it. And had I not have, like, I've been very fortunate that I started working out at a gym, and my very first job was at a gym. And some of my mentors were from the health industry. And that's kind of where they really turned things around for me in terms of what I thought versus like these myths. And then they really busted them through for me. But a lot of, for me, was my upbringing, my family. And, growing up in an Asian cultured home, anything that wasn't stick skinny in my home was considered fat. And that was the truth. And it was in like subtle comments that, my parents had the best intentions, but it was just certain things that they said that just stuck with me and made me feel like this is how I'm going to be forever. No matter what I do, nothing's going to change. Or like, I'm built a certain way, like you're big boned or something. And that was not the case at all, but that was like this image that they planted on me for so long. So, that contributes from as young as when you were like, you probably didn't even realize it was affecting you. So, and it's become part of your identity, and people hold on to that identity so much that if you don't take a step back and kind of like rewire that a bit, it's always going to be a challenge that you're going to come across when it comes to your journey, because you're always going to want to stop because of that inner villain that kind of plays in the back of your mind. Like, you agree, right? Like that's some of the things that kind of like that other voice in your head that tells you, yes, nothing's going to change. This is not going to work. I'm sure we've all heard that before, right? If people can resonate with that. So what are some of the other contributing factors do you think, aside, like I had mentioned, the family history, what are some other things you think, plays a role in terms of people's confidence?
Other factors that play a role in building confidence, is that what you said?
And why someone might have lower confidence, right?
Oh.
So for me, like it was kind of the family upbringing or the family history or the way the culture is. What do you think are the other contributing factors of why people might have a low body confidence or a lower self-esteem?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you nailed it with things about our past that we sometimes aren't even aware of that become limiting beliefs or limiting stories. I think also there's a whole, and it's not just from social media, this is before like what we talked about, magazines or seeing actresses on TV and stuff, is that whole comparison dilemma or syndrome. And that, as we know, is a bit more prevalent nowadays because of social media, and certain images that we see of people can trigger us and trigger those things. We may see someone posting in a bikini or someone who is talking about their weight loss. And even though, it's for them, it's just about them and their journey. But sometimes that can trigger us in certain ways if we haven't dealt with those old stories, those old limiting beliefs. And sometimes we don't even realize we're being triggered by it. And so that, I think, is a huge thing that we need to learn and to become more aware of. I think it just starts with an awareness of what triggers us and how we can address it. Because it's not just, don't look, it may be one extreme to say, don't look at social media at all, like, don't compare yourself, but it's really like, well, but how? But why are those things triggering? Because not everybody is triggered by the same things, right? So that just means that there are ways to do the inner work to address that so that you don't get triggered by those things, so you don't compare yourself in those ways that limit you or that hold you back. So I think that's a really big thing that I see that's just so common, especially among women and men as well, on social media, and just that comparison of what they are doing or what they're looking like, how that person is eating. I think it affects people in so many ways. There's lots of people sharing, this is the diet I do, and this is my morning routine, this is the exercise routine, and someone, it's so easy to see that and be like, oh, I'm not doing that. I should be doing that. Okay, I'm going to start doing that tomorrow. It's like, well, what works for that one person may not be what works for who you really are. And it's about finding the right path of health and of self-love and of self-care that works for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I so agree with you. And you're right, like finding the triggers that are, that you're triggered by individually, because you can't unfollow everyone, right? Because as much as you can kind of like find out what triggers you personally and then like do what you can't really also hide and escape, right? So it's going really into those like deep rooted issues or challenges that, you might come across. And I'm a big believer in also like individual and customize what works for you in terms of creating something that you love. And I think a lot of people try to do something of what other people are doing, and then they end up hating it. Yeah. So like if you're not in, like, so I'm big on running, but not everyone's big on running. And I get questions about, I can't get into running. I just don't like it. Like, but there's more than just running, right? You got to find what works for you. I always say, do what you love and do more of it. And if you just like walking every single day and you can do it consistently, then stick with that. But you're right. I think a lot of people are seeing what people are doing. I honestly really think that social media sometimes is a big culprit, because we're online a lot more these days, and Instagram and Facebook is only a little bit of a snapshot of what people do, but they don't really see the behind the scenes of what is going on, right? So yes, you might see this perfect meal, but it's like one meal in like six meals a day. You don't know what the other person's eating. We don't know what they're going through. So I think that's just really important for people to kind of recognize that what you see is not necessarily the full picture.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. What you said about running too, and I get that a lot too, of like, oh, I just don't like running, or I hate it. I think when we tie that back to self-love, when you find the method of movement, right? It can just be what way of moving your body makes you feel good, or what way of eating makes you feel good. That's what builds self-love. That's what builds body confidence. Trying to force yourself into doing what someone else is doing is exactly what creates the opposite of that. It creates self-doubt. It creates sometimes dislove for your own body. But as soon as you connect to what makes your body feel good, what movement is good for it, that's what builds that confidence.
Yeah, so true. Have you seen similarities in terms of the women that you work with, or women that you've come across, in terms of how it may look like, or what their actions and behaviors are when they're experiencing kind of low body confidence?
Yeah, I think it is. There are a lot of similarities that come with that. I think a lack of energy is often a big one. Quite often people will say, I'm not motivated, or I'm not consistent. And quite often that's tied to a lack of confidence. They're not feeling confident in their body, so they're not wanting to do the things that are going to make them feel good, when you need to get over that hurdle, get over that uncomfortableness to discover what's going to make you feel good. So I think that lack of energy and that lack of consistency or lack of motivation, those things all tie into a lack of self-confidence.
Yeah, good point. And I wanted to also add the fact that like people are also just maybe not saying no a bit more because of that. They want to hide, and not really see people. Like I know some people that just they tend to say no to things. Maybe it's being out with their friends and they know that their friends might consume things that they don't want to be consuming or tempted to consume. Or maybe they just feel that body shame, that guilt, and they just don't want to be out in the world where, some of their friends might be, dressed a certain way, or, do certain things that you may not feel confident doing because of the way that you feel inside. So I know that has, even played a key factor in when I was growing up, where, when I was really young, I would, in summer, or like warmer weathers, I would hide in a jacket because I was self-conscious about certain body parts when I was younger. And it was so hot outside that it made me dislike summer, because I knew that every season, like you would have to kind of shed some layers of clothing. And I didn't, it was always very comfortable to be the only girl wearing a jacket when it's like warm outside. So yeah, so I feel like that's maybe one of the reasons as well, of something that I've seen in my own experience, and also in some of the women that I've met along the way. Yeah, it's crazy. Which is why this topic for me just like hits home, and talking about it with you, just it is also very therapeutic to acknowledge those things, because you didn't really realize it was happening then, but then to kind of see it now, and from a bird's eye view, and how far we've both come, and how we're helping the women that we're helping because of our own transformation. It's amazing. It's amazing that we've come this far. So I wanted to ask you, like, what was the switch for you? Like, what was the switch for you to when you were feeling that with the self-image, and when you were dealing with that, what was that turning point or that transformation for you that really clicked?
The turning point. That's a really great question. I feel like a couple of turning points that have built over the years, because I feel like sometimes I hear stories, and one of the things that I think used to get me down during my journey was I felt like there was supposed to be this. I was, no. Okay, am I back? I think it froze.
Yeah, it froze a little bit. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Good. I always was thinking like, oh, there's supposed to be this moment where I lose the weight, and I'm thin, and I'm fit, and I look good, and I'm confident, and then that's it. It's just like a linear uphill journey from there. But there were lots of times when I lost weight and gained weight, or times when I thought I had, was loving my body and feeling confident, and then hit a plateau where I kind of like dropped again and lost some of that confidence, or gained some weight, or, put my maybe personal care to the side for a bit. So I think I've had lots of turning points of like, okay, in the journey of thinking, okay, it's, being committed to, there's a time where I thought like, if I could be really committed and really focused and really passionate about health and taking care of my body with nutrition and exercise, then that was the answer, and that was the way. And I think that was a turning point that helped me get to the next step. It was really after so I've competed in 2 bodybuilding competitions. And so it was after my second one in 2018, where I got to a point where when I was doing my prep for that show, where I was feeling really confident, where I wasn't just like, okay, when I get to the end result, then I'll feel good. I was loving the process of seeing my body and my mind transform, and loving myself more along the way. And knowing that it wasn't just about the end result. It wasn't just about the physique or the body. It was like a real inner transformation. So I felt like after that, then I would have figured it out, that like that would be the key, and I'd be like done my journey and everything would be great. But I hit a little bit of a low again after that. Not right away, but a couple months after. And it was when I was noticing that my career I was working in advertising. My career wasn't giving me that fulfillment. It was wintertime. It was really dark. And I went to some of those older habits and some of those older stories of, those limiting beliefs of like, you're not this, fit, healthy person. That's just not your identity. You're a, that chubby little girl, like go back to her. She's safe. She's comfortable, just go back to that place. Don't, speak up. Don't, stand out, just go back to that. So that was a really hard thing to deal with, because I was like, oh, why can't I just get over this and get past this? And it was from there that I then moved a little bit more into a spiritual transformation. And that's when I started to do things like meditation and visualizing and just connecting to something greater, to just an inner essence and inner energy. And that's when I was like, okay, there's not just, it's still a layer deeper than just the physical and just the emotional. There's something more there. And I think that was my most latest turning point. I think that there has been the latest turning point.
Wow. And I think that goes to show that it's just not like a short journey. It's something that is kind of like work in progress all the time. I think people kind of get into this like mindset where they feel like, okay, well, once I get to this point, I'm done, right? But it's work in progress. We're constantly always improving. It's like life is always going to have all these turning points, and it's about addressing, being aware of it and addressing it, and knowing, kind of having that tool belt of things, or that, what I like to call it, the self-care kit, arsenal of tools to go to when you need, a pick-me-up, right? To kind of like reverse that mindset. So I wanted to add to that, because I wanted to give our viewers kind of like actionable takeaways, right? Like, what can they do if they are someone who's experiencing that like low body confidence? They are just feeling like they've started and stopped different diets, and they're still stuck in the, the diet culture where good food versus bad food, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that, or, you should dress a certain way. Like, what can someone do? What are a few points that you can recommend to someone to boost their body confidence?
That's such a good question, because I think in terms of like what I teach and what I help my clients with is exactly the opposite of saying this is the thing. And I'm sure you find this too with like creating your own custom plans to help your clients along their way, is that it's so hard to just say, focus on the diet or start meditating, and that will help you along in your journey, because it's different for everyone and we have different points. So one of the things that is part of my philosophy is the 4 dimensions of health. And so I consider this your physical health, what you eat, how you exercise, your emotional health. So this is your, ability to forgive others and yourself, forgive yourself for all the times that you started the diet and for the times that you for your body, but then, and so there's the emotional health, how you manage and process those emotions, letting go of the things the traumas of the past. Then there's the intellectual health, which is what we think, what we consume, what we're reading. One of the things I like to say is that you can do a mental diet to improve or work on your intellectual health. So that can be paying attention to what you're watching, like the news, what kind of information is coming into your subconscious mind, what kind of videos you're watching, or consuming on social media. Just becoming aware of like, what am I feeding my brain intellectually daily? Is it, watching drama TV that's just like makes you so tense at night because of the crime show that you were watching? Or are you watching something that's more uplifting or positive or educational, that inspires you, that grounds you? And then the third is your spiritual health, which is your form of connecting beyond your physical body. So that can be doing a meditation, that can be doing some grounding work, some affirmations, it can be visualizing, it can be reading some kind of scripture, whatever it is. So I think exploring those 4 elements in different ways is the best place to start. And I think even just going over those topics, whatever jumps out at you in terms of like, oh, what she said there about the intellectual diet, or just doing forgiveness, that that's something I haven't thought of before. That's something that's interesting to me. I think that's your soul, your spirit giving you a little guidance. And the more that you listen to that guidance, the clearer it becomes, the stronger it becomes. And then that's what's going to take you on that path of healing, that path of health, of self-love, of body confidence. And so I think that's the best place to start.
That is so beautiful. I loved everything you just said just now. I definitely resonate with all of it. I think that is a great way to start, and definitely pick up what makes sense to you. I would love to add to that and say that, also, surround yourself with positive people, right? Like you talk about what you consume, right? The news, all the sources of social media, but also the people that uplift you. If you're around people also that have that kind of that negative, just the negative vibe, right? Where they also, don't come from a place of appreciation or gratitude, I think that it rubs off on you as a person. So surround yourself with people that are positive, that are uplifting, that kind of see what your body is meant for, right? And our bodies are not just for us to look at. It's the way that we move, and we should celebrate that. Celebrate the fact that we get to exercise. Celebrate the fact that it's strength that we get to have, so that we could be, so we could carry heavy things if we need to, so that we can flow and move. And also just, if you know things that make you happy, right? If there are things in your life that you particularly love doing, love watching, love seeing, love wearing, do those things. I think we as people tend to always focus on the negative of what we don't have, and then they don't really stay in the present of what they do have, right? And then do more of those things, because they're constantly just chasing what they don't have. But the grass is not always greener on the other side. So they save their pretty dress for a rainy day, when I say just wear it now. And, let yourself feel all the positive emotions that will make you feel uplifted. So I wanted to add that. Allison, I don't know if you're a little frozen right now, or your expression, it hasn't changed. I think, Allison, you're frozen and she's off. Okay, so I think Allison's experiencing a little bit of, oh, you're back. No worries. I was like, oh, you were very stunned. You looked really stunned when I was saying what I was saying. But yeah, I was just adding to it about just surround yourself with positive people, and just not waiting for that special moment to embrace, and doing all the things that you love to do. If there's a particular dress that you really want to wear it. Don't wait for the rainy. Don't wait for the celebration. Just wear it now. Embrace everything that is good now, versus chasing things that aren't there yet, or are because you're wasting your time chasing when you could be enjoying all the things that you do have.
Yes, that's such a good point. I love that you bring that up, because for a long time too, I had like, oh, when I lose the 20 pounds, then I'll buy that outfit or those jeans. And there was a time when I really loved fashion, or was interested in fashion, but I never wanted to buy new clothes or expensive clothes, because I was like, oh, it'll look better and it'll fit better when I lose the weight. And so it was always a later thing. And I never, ever got to that point where I was like, okay, now I can do it. Well, eventually I did, but for a long time.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I love that. It's the same with you and your jacket story. It's like, don't wait for, the body to change to take off the jacket. Like, it's an inner thought. It's just an inner thought and inner feeling of believing, now I can take off the jacket. Now I can buy those pants that I want. Like, it's not about losing the weight. It's just about doing it now and enjoying it.
Yeah. And also the confidence piece. I know we had a question about how to kind of like live life I think I had a question from a viewer that asked like, how to live life to the fullest if you're feeling kind of like that low vibe or that low body confidence. And it's just important to know that it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to like, start doing these things and all of a sudden, oh, I'm instantly like, I have high confidence or anything, but it's about doing little small things every single day. So these incremental changes play a part in what you're doing. So the things that maybe you've said no to along the way, where you wanted to do but you didn't do it, you start to do those things. You start to implement it. You start to maybe walk a little bit more. You start to do the things that you thought that you couldn't do, and that builds on your confidence. So it's confidence. And I wrote an article about this because confidence it's not something you're born with. It's a feeling, right? And that feeling starts by just taking those little small actions. And for someone that doesn't know where to start, just start with whatever you can possible, whatever you can confidently do, right? So even if it's that one thing, then do that one thing and then let yourself just build on it. And then naturally you'll start to build that confidence and you'll start to, live life to the fullest because you're no longer saying no to everything because you felt ashamed or you felt guilty or, you had that low self-esteem. So you didn't really, go out with your friends. You start to just do that one thing. So do you have anything else to add to that question?
I love that. Just how, it just building on one, small micro changes one day at a time. It's like the best analogy that I've ever heard is it's like building a house with bricks. And you don't just, wake up and have a fully built house the next day. Each day you lay one brick and you just focus on laying that brick as perfectly, as beautifully as you can. And if you do one beautifully perfect brick each day, eventually you'll have that house. And so I think that's like a great metaphor in terms of picturing how to take your own self-love or your body confidence journey.
Yeah, I love that so much. That I'm going to use that brick analogy. That house analogy. Yeah, I also wanted to just touch upon the fact that like when it comes to your self-image and your body, like it changes every single day, right? Like I think I was very focused on also the scale when I was young, and now I use it as a benchmark in my program where we take measurements and we do that to track our progress, but it's never the end result. It's never we don't never define how well we reach our goals by the scale. And I wanted to break that because I feel like people see a number on a scale and immediately, even if they're feeling confident, even if they're feeling good, as soon as they stand on the scale and they see the number, they're not happy with it, they try to quantify their accomplishments and it ends up just like everything goes out the window. Yeah. And I want to say that like there are so many contributing factors to the reason why the number on the scale is not the full story. And, the water weight, hormones, your metabolism, your period, your water retention, maybe you had too much sodium, like so many different things. Maybe you had a heavy meal right before you jumped to the scale. Who knows? But it definitely is not the full picture. And I just want to address that because I know that is another comment that was made as well in terms of, people who do focus on the scale a lot in terms of tracking their progress. So yeah, that's definitely played a big part in my fitness journey. And one of the things that like I've learned and I wish someone would tell me before, because I used to be obsessed where I would jump on the scale every single day and that would be my marker. Yeah. In terms of how I track my progress.
Yeah, I hear you. That was me too. And I actually haven't, I feel like it sounds like an AAA meeting. I haven't stepped on the scale now in a year and a half. On the scale.
Like to give you a chip.
Yeah. But I used to also, same thing. It was the progress marker and I would step on the scale every day. There were times when I sometimes would skip on the scale more than one times a day because I wanted to know after a run, I was like, is my weight less? I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe it's body weight. But I'm like, I just want to know, is it less? And sometimes after I ate a meal, okay, is it more? How much did I, which is just so obsessive. And there were times when it maybe helped track progress along the way. And sometimes right now, I sometimes still do with clients, depending on what their goal is, tracking what's the start weight and then deciding how often we're going to weigh, like what's best for them. Maybe it's usually I only at the most say just one time a month, but I've had clients, especially when I first started, where I would just say, where you're not like, let's not step on the scale. That's not going to measure your progress. We're going to measure your progress with consistency and habits. And as a result of that, the progress on this, like the progress will come and you will see it and you will feel it, which is way more important than a number on the scale, because the scale can tell you, nothing. Like it's, it's not the determining factor. What is how you feel. And when you see that change, or when you start feeling better in your body because you're taking care of it from a place of love, that's like the best way to measure the progress. And that's really what you want. If you understand what your goal is and your reason why, it's never a number on the scale, as I'm sure you've learned. It is like an emotional thing. And so measure your progress emotionally, not with a number on the scale.
Yeah. And I think it's really important. I love the fact that we both work with women. There are some women that, some of the women that I work with are mothers and who have daughters. And so it's just to see that transformation and have that passed along to, the younger generation as well, because they're also going through their own, with us, maybe with something else, right? It was like maybe magazines or television. With them, it's like social media, Facetune, all these different things that are tweaking the images that you see. So it's just, I don't think that this message is as unique as it is for everyone, like said enough. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I talk about this for hours, about the importance of just cultivating that, self-love and that self-acceptance, no matter what size you are, throughout your journey, and also to enjoy the progress, not to just chase for the end result, because you're going to end up being miserable. And I think if you're looking for this particular, merit, right, like this check on the checkbox or something to be happy, then you're not really enjoying life, and it's going to affect your just every aspect of your life, right? Like, you're not going to show up in the way that you want to show up if it doesn't start with loving yourself first. Yeah. And I think that is so key for the women that we work with.
So well said.
So I know that you have a lot of exciting things coming up, and I really want to dive on that. Before I do, if you were in my shoes, was there any question that I missed that I should have asked you, or you want to share with me? Let me know. What's something that maybe I might have missed that you would have asked yourself?
Oh, I actually think you asked so many good and thoughtful and deep questions. And I love the conversation that we've had, and I love where we've taken it and how we've shared our own journeys in it. So I don't have any other questions or things I would have added. I think this has been really great, and I hope it's helpful for people watching.
Yay, me too. I know, even if just one person takes away like a tip or a trick or some inspiration from our own personal experience and our journey to how we were as young as we were to where we are right now, I think that we've done our job here, right? So I want to hear about your exciting project. I know that you have a launch coming up, and I really want our viewers to, get their hands on that too when it's ready. So please do share what is coming up for you.
Thank you. Sorry, just breathe there, but I got the gist of it. So I do have a book coming out. So it is called The Unicorn Syndrome: Stop Trying to Be Unique, You Already Are. And it is a story and a journey of how to let go of and unleash that mask that you've been wearing, those stories that you've believed that limit you about who you think you are, who you're supposed to be, of just letting go of that and embracing who you really are. So the unicorn part of it that I speak about is really this notion that we compare and we see other women who look wonderful, who look healthy, who look fit, who we think are this bright, shiny unicorn. And we constantly compare ourselves to them, or we try to capture what that, unicorn is or what it does. And when we try so hard to be like that unicorn because we think they're unique or they're beautiful, we lose our own uniqueness. We lose our own beauty. And the truth is, no one is a unicorn. We're all our own unique spiritual being. We're all our own, like mystical creature. Like there's almost like not a name you can put on it. So why would you want to be a unicorn when you can be who you are? So that's kind of what the analogy means in my book.
Love it. So good. And when do you have a date, or is it to be determined?
It's a little bit TBD right now, but it should be launching early summer, so like around July time.
Ooh, okay, so right around the corner. That's amazing. And how can people learn more about you? And also, yeah, like how can they contact you, learn more about you? How can they connect with you? Let the viewers know.
Thank you. So you can find me on Instagram. My handle is allison.woodley. Yeah, that's probably the best place to connect with me. You can always DM me, reach out. I'd love to connect with new people. So feel free to message me. And I have a website, allisonwoodley.com, where you can find more information, or you can pre-order a copy of my book, get on the waiting list for that. So that's the best place to find me.
So amazing. Well, Allison, thank you so much for spending 45 minutes with us on this lovely Facebook interview. I know it's not going to be our last. I hope that you and I will continue this conversation in other platforms as well. I really, really enjoyed this conversation, and you know, getting vulnerable and sharing your experience and all your tips and tricks with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I love this conversation. I can't wait to have you in my group soon.
Sounds wonderful.
Conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Talk to you guys soon.